Hello and welcome to my first YouTube battle report between 3000 points of Ogres and Dark Elves. So this is my left side of the board. You can see that I've got a unit of Dark Riders, I've got a unit of Doomfire Warlocks, my 20 crossbowmen, I've got a level 2 Dark Mage in there, I've got my Bolt Thrower behind them, and a Master on a Pegasus. Here in the centre, you can see my block of Witch Elves, another Bolt Thrower in the centre, and my Cold One bus, which has my General, my BSB, and a level 4 on Shadow. And here's the other two units of my Dark Riders, my Doomfire Warlocks, and the last Bolt Thrower. Here's the left side of the board for the Ogres. You can see a Saber-Tusk there and his 10 Noblar Trappers. Here's the bulk of his army. On the right hand unit of Ogres you can see his BSB, his level 2 with Beast Mage and his General. The right side unit has his Firebelly, his level 2 on Gut Magic and his other Tyrant. And holding up his right flank you can see his 3 Mournfang, his Iron Blaster and his 2 units of 5 Lead Belchers. And a quick shot of the board before Vanguards. And here's the Vanguards on the left. And here's the right side of the board after Vanguard movements. And so the Dark Elves get turn 1. Here we can see aggressive movements I've done on the left side of the board. My Fast Cav and my Pegasus Lord has gone up quite far. They're going to try and just take off the cheap points over there. My Dark Shards just edged up a little bit to get in range of Noblars to shoot, and my Witch Elves are going to the hill. And here's the right just setting up a double flee in front of the Mournfang. And so we go on to the magic phase. I managed to get Soul Blight on his Mournfang and I Doom Bolt one of them off. In the shooting phase, I just pick off a couple of wounds here and there on his Iron Blaster, one of his Mournfang. I clear Saber-Tusk and a few Noblars, causing them to panic, which they promptly fail and run away. Here's a shot of the Noblars fleeing, and then we go on to Ogre's turn 1. He charges into my Dark Riders, which I flee, and he doesn't redirect, and he moves up just as you can see it. His magic phase is a complete bust. He either doesn't get anything off or I dispel it. But he does shoot off 3 of my Warlocks, and in an attempt to snipe my BSB out with his cannon, he manages to only kill 1 Dark Rider. And going on to Dark Elf's turn 2, this is where I make a horrible mistake. I charge my unit of Dark Riders that are in front of my Cold Ones into his Lead Belchers, and then charge my Cold One bus into his Mournfang. My Dark Riders rally, and everything on the left side moves up as you can see it. My Witch Elves didn't really move up too much because I didn't want to get them charged. Going into the magic phase, I managed to get a couple of minor debuffs on. I get the Withering off on his Lead Belchers, so that should help my Dark Riders killing them. And I do manage to get the Enfeebling Foe off, but I draw out his Dispel Scroll. And here's the left side. As you can see, I've just popped off a few wounds on his Noblars, just kind of moved up some out of his charge arcs and everything. As expected, my Cold Ones completely blasted through his Mournfang, but my Dark Riders didn't do too well. Managed to do 5 wounds on the charge, but I took 3 back, but he does stick around. And this is why charging the Mournfang was a mistake. I really should have just shot him off. My initial plan was to flee, but I actually forgot that Cold Ones were stupid and immune to psychology because of it. So that didn't go too well. And here's a shot of the other movements that he does. He turns one of his units towards my Fast Cav, probably hoping to just magic them off or something like that. And he moves up his Lead Belchers a little bit more aggressively. The only spell he manages to get off is Bone Crusher, which he does so with an irresistible force. And he manages to kill off 2 Dark Riders with it. He gets Destination, so he manages to put a wound on his Firebelly and his Tyrant, a wound on his Captain, and kills off 2 of his Ogres for me. And going on to shooting phase, he doesn't do too much because everything's in combat now, but he does manage to kill off the 2 Doomfire Warlocks that were floating around. And these are the casualties I take after impact hits. Come to think of it now as well, I'm not even sure if I took armor saves from him, which could have made a difference. And here's the main reason why I love Dark Elves. Murderous Prowess is an awesome ability. This is all I've got after combat. After all the combat res he's got me, I'm on Snake Eyes to rally. I do have a BSB, but it wasn't enough. I do break from it, and because I've still got the unit champion in there, I'll be on Snake Eyes to rally. To make matters even worse for me as well, the Lead Belchers finally win over the Dark Riders. Going on to my turn 3, I charge my Witch Elves into his Noblars, thinking might as well get the points. They're standing around doing nothing anyway at the moment. I move the Dark Riders and the Warlocks out of the line of sight, so it's just going to annoy him really. Move some Dark Riders up to redirect his Stonehorn, and here's a shot of my characters just failing to rally. For my magic, I managed to get a soul blight on his lead belchers off, and I'll do something to him to make him panic. Not sure if it was a doom bolt or shooting. As we have no combat, we go straight onto Ogre turn 3. He obviously charges something into my cold ones, causing them to flee, and he charges his stonehorn into my dark riders. His lead belchers fail to rally, and they're coming very close to the board, and he just turns to his ogre's background again. Again, I don't think his magic phase was too eventful, but he does put the Firebelly's flame template back on my Witch Elves, which kills a huge bunch of them. He turns his Iron Blaster and Grape Shots my Pegasus Master. Due to the Cloak of Twilight, I actually only take 2 wounds. Here you can see the Stonehorn just eating my Dark Riders. Here's my characters just not rallying, and how I've set up to redirect his Ogres, which again was poor positioning on my part, but it works out for me a bit later. Here you can see I've taken off a few wounds from, I think, the 2 bolt throwers on that side and the dark shards, and I think this is showing that I managed to do a few wounds onto the Iron Blaster with my other bolt thrower. Here's the main combat between his General's unit and my Witch Elves. I managed to do quite a few wounds to him, took a few wounds back, but I think I managed to beat him and chase him down with my Pegasus, and my Witch Elves overrun into his Iron Blaster. Charges into my Dark Riders, and I flee because of the positioning as well. He managed to redirect into his Warlock, so I have to flee with them as well. His Stonehorn fails his Frenzy test and has to charge after my Bolt Thrower, which he fails. He swings his Lead Belchers round to shoot at me, and he manages to magic off a couple of my Dark Riders. Managed to take off the last wound of his Iron Blaster with my Witch Elves. Going into my turn 5, I charge my Pegasus into his Lead Belchers. I couldn't charge my Witch Elves into him because in this game we were playing infinitely high heals, so I couldn't actually get a line up. So I moved them on there ready to help my Pegasus next time if needed. My Doomfire Warlocks move up to just magic off the Lead Belchers. My Dark Riders go to redirect again. I think they're in a better position this time as well. And my Dark Shards just move up a little bit closer to get some better shots off. Here's the Stonehorn in comparison to my lines. And as you can see, I do manage to magic off the Lead Belchers. Here's my shooting, taking off a couple of wounds off the Ogres, and my Bolt Thrower manages to do a wound on the Stonehorn. Here's the combat. Because of the D3 wounds and that from the Cloak of Twilight, easily managed to kill off 2 of the Ogres outright. They don't do anything back to me, and I managed to break them. I managed to reform as well, so I just turned back around. Here you can see on how much damage I'm doing to his Ogres. Getting there slowly. I mean, I don't expect to take him off, but I'm trying. He moves his Stonehorn up like you can see here, and everything else as you can see it. Going into my last turn, I don't do any charges. I see no reason why I should try and risk anything at the moment. I moved my Doomfire Warlocks round, just thinking maybe I can magic them off, get the last points there. I try and preserve the points for my Pegasus and my Witch Elves by moving them behind the hill, as well as my Dark Shards. As we said before, infinite high heals. If I'm behind the hill, he can't charge me with a Stonehorn. Last picture of the game, with combined shooting and magic, I do actually manage to take out the last of the unit. And this is where we came up with, we weren't quite sure how it works, because obviously now he's a unit of just heroes. With a flanked shot of my Bolt Thrower, would it hit, in this situation, the Firebelly, and then obviously you wouldn't get a Lookout Sir for it, and would it carry on like that? I mean, that's how we did it. In the end, it didn't actually make a difference, because I didn't wound with him. But the other Bolt Thrower had a front shot, so we randomised which one it hit. It ended up hitting his Butcher, wounded, and I managed to kill him off before the game ended. Going on to his turn 6, there's no more pictures because my phone battery died, but he couldn't really do much because where I'd hidden behind all the hills, he couldn't shoot anything anyway. And when we tallied up to the points, it ended up being a major Dark Elf victory by about 500. That's the end of my report. Like, favourite, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Played any rules wrong, just leave a comment down below, and we can only get better. Any tips and comments on how I can improve this report as well, if you want to leave a message for that as well. And hope to see from you again.